Good.
Hey everyone, so we're back. We are back today and we have a special topic that is really important to me. I don't know, recently you guys, we've been kind of looking at things that are going on in our community per se. And one of the biggest and most important things to me, and I didn't even know, first off, let me introduce people we have on. We have, it's probably, because you're valuable. It's going to always echo because you're valuable. But one of the main people, yeah, you ever know? Sorry. So one of the people who work here, Sean, you work here.
Yes.
And you recently, I didn't know, but you went to Bethune.
Yeah, it was Bethune took me for a year. I wanted to transfer, but it was a great experience while I was there.
Why did you transfer?
In my freshman year, I took a drawing composition class, and I also entered into a drawing competition, and I wound up winning. It was like throughout the whole school, and I didn't realize that I won until the end of the day. So that caused me to get into the drawing competition class, and I wanted to switch my major to like animation, and they didn't have it as a major, so I had to wind up transferring to Temple.
So you ended up leaving Bethune to go to Temple.
Yes.
But so explain to us, like in general, right? One of the things that I don't think we talk enough about here is the importance of HBCUs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they come from, the culture of them. And, you know, we talked about this. We recently learned this even with Juneteenth about how there's history about our community that we don't always understand.
Mm-hmm.
For you, like, what was the importance of going to HBCU? Like,
so when I graduated high school, I had a job the Monday after graduation. The place that I was working for wound up going out of business, and my cousin had already went to Bethune. At that time, I kind of was like, well, I'll kind of figure out what to do in the future. It wasn't really a set date, but when he came back home and he was telling me how great it was. Man, it's a great experience. You should go. You know, so I'm like, well, I might as well. At least he's there, and I have somebody to lean on. So when I got there, it was a culture shock for me because it was in Florida, and I'm from Philly, so it's just like only thing I knew about Florida was Disney World. You know what I mean? So, and prior to that, I went to an all boys Catholic school, Roman Catholic. So, my experience with that was like, it was the first time that I went to an environment where it was focused on black people, just being a HBCU, and it kind of felt more like I was home, you know what I mean?
right.
It was a total contrast to the experience that I had prior to it, and it was pretty good.
All right. Can y'all hear me?
Not
Okay.
No, but so I was hearing what you were saying. But no, I think like one of the things for me, a lot of what I know about my black culture comes from me going to like my HBCU, right? I went to FAMU. They teach you a lot about like where you come from, how it got started, information that we don't really get per se in other universities. Like I have friends who go to New York University, I have friends who go to Harvard and all these other schools, right? They don't really get information. You, and let me get this right, Asia. You came over here from Cali and you go to Clark, right? How do you like it so far?
I don't know, it feels like a second home almost, coming from the Bay. It's not that different from like the Bay Area,
That is perfect.
the atmosphere. So, but the only difference is really like the southern feel and how everyone is like in Atlanta. So, but yeah, I like Clark a lot. It's different in the AUC, I feel like, from the other schools, the other HBCUs, but I don't know, something about the AUC is like a brother-sister community type feel at the school. But as far as the like school and academics goes, you know, it's typical HBCU. Like they teach you to kind of I would say they teach you to value yourself, value your community, and put more into yourself and your community as well, and make sure that you kind of matriculate through the process and grow into yourself. So yeah, I like it. I feel like I wouldn't get the same education anywhere else. So
yeah, I think it's true. I remember there was a time where we were visiting a college, right, and like they was taking us through like this whole school thing. It was FSU actually, and it was funny because all my friends who were like African American, they had to be put into like a care program. It was like not even an option for you. Or you came in, you African American, you went through the care program to kind of teach you how to integrate into like the way they do things at FSU, right? Yeah. And but you know when you go to FAMU, you just step right in, right? And it was funny because even people who were not African Americans who went to FAMU, they just step right in.
Right.
One of the things that is interesting too is that I think from a perspective when we think about HBCUs, a lot of times people don't think that it has like the glamour that some of these other schools have, especially for people who are athletes. We've had people from FAMU who've gone off and done great things. You guys have people from Bethune who've gone off and great things. Clark has had people who've gone and great things. For real, and I tell people all the time, like definitely for Atlanta. Atlanta's like I call it the black capital of the world. Like they make movies here. Yeah, it's the Black Hollywood. One of the things that's interesting to me about Atlanta is like you need that experience in Clark, Atlanta. I mean, people who graduated from like Clark or Spelman or Morehouse and gone on to do great things.
Like I can't even name all of them. There's so many off the top of your head.
Chadwick Boseman,
was, I think it was Howard.
But Kamala Harris went to Howard, and now she's the Vice President of the United States. So I mean, I think that we don't give our HBCUs enough credit. You know what I'm saying?
They don't get enough shine at all. They definitely put on the back burner, and PWIs are put up front. The IB schools, all of that are put up front, and we don't really get the funding or anything like that. So. But we definitely produce greatness.
Yeah.
I mean, from my experience, like just the contrast that we had,
Going perfectly out here.
I think that it was a big difference in the way I felt. Like when I went to Temple, I just felt like a number there. My counselors didn't really care. Just the individual was totally removed.
Right.
Even just my teacher that was my drawing and composition teacher that I was talking about earlier, he was even like, well, look, if you're really interested in this, maybe you should look into going to another school. And he was employed by the school. Just trying to take the interest in my own growth as a kid at the time. So I think it's a lot. It's a lot of difference. Even I got to see Johnny Cochran speak. He came to the school and things of that nature that's really focused on our history and our heritage and things that will help us as a community to grow. That at a big university that's not focused on black interests, you're not going to get the same perspective,
right?
And you're it's like matriculation through it. It's kind of just like I had like two jobs. I mean, going to school and going to work, and both of them felt like work.
And the other part that's really interesting to me too is that I don't know if you guys are familiar with a guy by the name of Dr. Cornel West. All right.
Yeah,
so he just resigned from Harvard yesterday. He wrote a scathing letter to Harvard, basically saying like when I came on board for less than what I should have been paid for. Promised me like a paid year off to go out and go out and explore. You gave me a semester off. Wrote a scathing letter, but he also he went off on Howard too because Howard had gotten to the point where they said they were not going to teach like the Confederate War and stuff like that. And his response was, which is one I agree with, that as educators it's our job to kind of give you all the facts and for you to make up your own mind. And we've been posted about this before. How do you guys feel about it when HBCUs say, hey, you know what, we're not going to talk about our education, but then we have a white school system, and I'm not saying white, I'm sorry, an American school system that's now debating whether or not we should even talk about, or CRT is what they call it, but basically talk about things like slavery in schools, stuff like that. Don't you think like education should be freely given, meaning that like give me all information and let me make my own decision on what's good and bad?
I mean, I think that it's definitely Black history is American history.
Right.
So all of the history should be taught, whether you like the way things were or not. You know what I mean? Like, it's important to know what has happened in the past that we're going to go through again in the future. You know what I mean? And what can we take from this as a country, you know, together to try to move forward, and how can we make, you know, equality a real truth. You know, if we don't know what the past is, then we can't address the issues and actually see where it derives from. You know?
I don't know, I feel like they don't, I feel like the thing is that they cater to certain audiences, I guess. They cater to the ideologies that they want to pass on to the students and, you know, keep thriving in America. So they don't care to teach us anything about Black history. They don't care to teach us anything about Native history. They don't care to teach us anything about, like, any of the people, like the Aztecs, even, like, you know, everyone that's outside of white America. They don't.
I think it's important that I think HBCUs play a huge role. I think it not only plays a huge role in just African American culture. I think like everybody needs to get a little taste of it because the experience is different, the history is different, and I just think that it's important. But I mean, moving on from that, like and you said something really important, right? How we don't get the funding that other schools get, right? One of the things I despise, like, I'm from Florida. I was so Tallahassee, everybody would think I'm like a Florida State fan. As soon as I said no, I'm absolutely not a Florida State fan. And the reason why I have so much dislike for Florida State, it's not because they didn't. And we call ourselves the school on the highest hill for a reason, because we literally look down at Florida State, right? But the state didn't say it that way. Like, why? And I don't know if I want to say this, but to give credit to where credit's due, our last president actually, you know, so when they give money to my HBCUs, it was something that had to be reviewed like every 5 years, right? When President Trump was in office, he actually made that funding. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, when it doesn't have an expiration date on it. Instead of being like 5 years, he made it to where it was literally like it's set in place, it's there forever. One good thing, right? But why do all these? Why do all these other state colleges get money and HBCU seems to fall by the wayside?
I mean, all the other things is the people that...
And you know you're a conspiracy theorist first. Let's get this.
I don't believe it. Things that are conspiracy until they're pretty true, right? But, I mean, I think that once your alumni moves on and they move to these places, and then also just the you know, tradition of family members that have went to this school and they now are in this place and this place, and they have these networks that they're able to influence people, and like the way things are passed down. I mean, even in high school, you know, like it was like political on like sports teams.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they would go and get, you know, 6'10" this guy from this high school, and now he has a scholarship. You know what I mean? And it's like the average person that's just trying to get on the team may not even get a chance to even get on the floor, even if he does make the team. And it's the same way with, you know, if you got funding, and I know you because you went to school with me, or we're alumnus of the same, you know, institutions, then of course we're going to probably, you know, find favor with someone that, you know, we're familiar with. And I think that's pretty much, you know, the bottom line.
I I feel like I said, like with funding, and so much of it is so like, I don't know, with funding, at least for the black school, for HBCUs, at least I know for the AUC, a lot of our funding comes from the alum mainly. So like the grades for like Morehouse, the grades for Spelman, they get the money, and then when it comes to us, at least at Clark, we don't get as much because like when people move on, they don't give back, and then of course like the history of funding for HBCUs, like the American history behind that plays a part. But I'm not really sure when they just decided to just stop giving to us, because once we had it federally, after that I guess they said you're on your own, and so like the PWIs get everything, and then the HBCUs are stuck relying on each other. So, and relying on the black community, or the support and the exposure within the black community in order to even get like students in order to get the money, in order to get the exposure with the companies, in order to get us hired everywhere else. Like we're kept, I feel like we're kept in a certain place. Like we're not able to expand the way we want to, like at least advance in the black community into like the whole of America, because they don't give us the money to even get close to that.
So for me, just having the resources, the reason why I transferred, another reason was I was out of state student. So my mother told me, I can't really afford to keep you at this school. So it would have been either I would have to find a job that I could pay for my tuition, or take out some more loans, which was pretty much non-existent. So I had to find another way to make it back to school. Like I wound up moving back home, taking a year off, and then going back to school. And pretty much paying. I remember one semester I paid for my classes with my credit card, just maxed out the credit card. So it's like just trying to have the resources to actually be able to educate yourself is another issue. It's like kind of got to get what you can.
Many of the students in the AUCs have only 1-2 years down academically because they couldn't afford to come back. Because of housing, because of financial aid, because they simply couldn't make the trip there. Like there's so many students who are living on couches, there's so many students that are living in cars. And like even in our classes, they have shown, well at least in my class, sociology major, our professor has like shown us videos of our students who are struggling, living in cars, and then they graduate. It's hard because I feel like on top of them being privately funded schools, they we don't even know that they exist really. And then once we get there, it's like, okay, we have to pay all of this to even get the education that we want. And then once you're there, they kind of like you're kind of on your own. They only can do so much to give back and keep you there. And it's really a lot rooted in. And I wish it weren't like that, but that's the way the schools work when it's privately funded.
So, I think that at the end of the day, it's important that we understand that the community is our HBCU. We need to promote it, our kids to go to HBCU. And make sure that when we graduate from them, we go back and we support big time. So even if you go to Harvard or Yale afterwards, to get your MBA,
For me, it's crazy because even though I only went to Bethune for a year, I feel more of a connection with that school than I do with Temple. Like I would rather give money. If I had to write it for $100 million a day, I would give them money over Temple. Because Temple, my experience there wasn't one that was something that, like, the only thing I gained there was determination to finish. I mean, it was
motivation.
It was like I had to, because it was like once you get out, now you got these student loans. You like if you went there and then like she was saying, if you go and now you don't get the paper, now you still owe these bills, and now you're just kind of strapped with a house trap on your neck. It's like you don't really have a choice to not finish. In my opinion, like my viewpoint was just like beyond anything, I have to get a degree because if I don't, now I'm really stuck.
But, I mean, I thank you guys for coming on. Again, we had Sean, who actually works it. So he was on here. Do me a favor, like, still pick it up. Still picks you up. So, Sean works with. Thank you for coming on. We had a special guest in the building, Asia, who actually is my boss, James' daughter. But thank you guys for talking about the importance of it. And I think this conversation because we don't give our HBCUs credit. We got all of the chat. Everybody out there in this video, start sharing and broadcasting out there. And there's more than HBCUs than just Clark Atlantic and Morehouse. So if you want to write a check, FAMU would definitely take a check for a whole class of students. We would definitely support it. But thank you guys, man, for being a little time.